But Mark, let's move on. We're going to 11 through 21. We'll start with you. Take us through your picks. Start with the New York Jets at number 11.
Yeah, so the New York football Jets are going to take a football player. Josh Allen, the quarterback out of Wyoming. And I'll just run down. We'll explain the picks later for those of you coming in for the first time. Then for the Cardinals at 12, Orlando Brown, the tackle out of Oklahoma. The Raiders going to take Denzel Ward, cornerback. Then we're going to go ahead with the Dolphins at 14, taking Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. And the Chargers at 15, Martinez Rankin, the tackle out of Mississippi State. Good old Ole Miss. We have number 16, the Cowboys taking Vita Vea.
Vita Vea.
Vita Vea. Damn it, I knew I was going to say it wrong. Coming in, I knew how to say it, and then we talked.
Vita Vea.
The
I love that name.
defensive tackle out of Washington. 17 is going to be Harold Landry. He can stand up. He can be on the ground, whatever. He's going to do something. He's going to come at your quarterback. Boston College. Now, this is a special one for us here at MVP. At 18, the Bills are going to take friend of the show, Mo Hurst, defensive lineman out of Michigan. Then we have at 19, the Green Bay Packers going to take Christian Kirk, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Then we have a couple more. 20, Seahawks are going to take Josh Jackson, the cornerback out of Iowa. And then finally, the Ravens, Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU.
And then we're going to move right into my New York Jets 11. They're going to take Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. Then the Arizona Cardinals taking quarterback out of Wyoming, Josh Allen. The Raiders, just like Mark had him, going Denzel Ward, cornerback out of, I'm surprised you didn't say it, Mark, the Ohio State University.
I wasn't interested in that.
Then number 14, the Dolphins take Rashaan Evans, inside linebacker, Alabama. The Chargers go offensive tackle, Orlando Brown from Oklahoma. Cowboys, just like Mark had, Vita Vea, defensive tackle out of Washington. Lions going Arden Key, defensive end, LSU. Christian Wilkins, the defensive lineman, Clemson, going 18 to the Bills. The Packers taking Josh Jackson, the cornerback out of Iowa. I said that weird because I wanted to say Johnson, but then it came out Jackson.
Jack Johnson.
Then we have Connor Williams, offensive tackle in Texas, going to the Seahawks. And then Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU, going to the Ravens. First one I want to talk about is the Jets, because if my memory serves me correctly, because I looked at the spot rack earlier today for them, I believe of their quarterbacks, McCown is gone. Basically, it's Christian Hackenberg is one of their main quarterbacks that is there to stay. What do you think the Jets should do? Obviously, you go quarterback, but why Josh Allen? Because Josh Allen is the big one that everyone's saying potential needs to sit a couple years. Do the Jets have that ability, or could they afford him that luxury?
Well, I think that the first thing that the Jets need to do is they need to cut Christian Hackenberg. Just get rid of him. There's no reason for him to be there.
Okay.
I do think that second of all, though, they should re-sign Josh McCown. Nothing crazy. You know, we're not doing a Fitzmagic-like thing where we're expecting him to. Well, I'm saying Fitzpatrick because they re-signed him finally after all that debacle, and then he was bad.
What about a Mike Glennon deal?
Well, no,
you got 2 years, but could be out after.
Sure,
one.
it's more money than you would want to pay Josh McCown for sure.
I'm just saying structure,
and I'm just saying from the Fitzpatrick comparison, we're hoping it's not that because you paid him a good amount of money to go and be shitty. Josh Allen, the reason why I think he would work for the Jets,
they got Bryce Petty.
Yeah, sure. The reason I think he could potentially work for the Jets is because they could get that journeyman. They've been so used to it that I think they're okay with one again. While a guy like Josh Allen potentially just sits and learns a little bit. Now, if you're going to get him and you're going to force him to go out there and start day one, you're going to probably run into some issues. But I do think he can be good. This season has not been a great season for him, but 2 seasons ago, guy was looking great. You know, he was looking like he could be a NFL starting quarterback. And part of it's kind of, I guess, a little bit hopeful for some of these teams. You know, any team that's going to consider Josh Allen is just going to have to hope that he can get back to 2015 season, or I guess, I'm sorry, 2016 season, not 2017 season.
The thing I will say to defend Josh Allen,
he lost a lot of pieces.
He lost a lot of talent. And I mean, he's a guy then where it's like, okay, you better put talent around him.
Well, they've got talent in New York.
Well, on the offensive side, do they really have the talent that is going to... I mean, Matt Forte's old,
but they've been looking actually better than what a lot of people expected them to be.
I thought they'd be 0-16.
Yeah, and they can get more. They can because I think they impressed some people, they surprised some people, so people will want to play for New York. And I think that they can go in there with the luxury of not having to start him day one. Your situation is a little similar with. Depending on what Carson Palmer decides to do. But if Carson Palmer doesn't come back, if he decides to retire, then in that case, Josh Allen is a risky move just because he will have to play day one. And that's what you want to avoid a little bit. I do, however, want to say, we have quite a few so far. We have 3 quarterbacks going.
I have 4.
This is quarterback number 4 going. This could potentially resemble some of those years that we remember, the 2013, 14 type of drafts, where a lot of quarterbacks went and not a lot of them stuck.
I'll be completely honest. Before the Monday night game is when I went through my mock draft, and I went through it earlier that day, and I said, okay, this is what it is. And I originally had Josh Allen where I have him, 12 to the Dolphins at the time. Dolphins win, they move to 14. And that's the thing. Like, first with the Jets, with me, I go Saquon Barkley because it's like, you know what? If I want to re-sign a Josh McCown, I can do so. I have Christian Hackenberg. Saquon Barkley's the guy where it's like, I look at what I've got right now, and I can, let's be completely honest, Jets are not winning the Super Bowl next year. I'm sorry, New York Jet fans, I just broke your heart. However, you're not winning the Super Bowl next year, even if you do draft a Josh Allen. And I just look at it and go, you know what? I'll look at quarterback later. I'll look at quarterback in free agency. I'll look at quarterback somewhere else, maybe re-sign Josh McCown. Let me go with Saquon Barkley, because right now at running back, I've got Matt Forte, who's old as shit, and I've got Bilal Powell, who, yeah, you're looking and you're like, yeah, but Ricky's got 537 yards. Whatever. Saquon Barkley could, like, Saquon Barkley in the NFL, look at what Leonard Fournette's doing. The big difference with Barkley, he'll do that on the ground, then he'll catch the ball out of the backfield. Dual threat. You got a pass catcher out of the backfield. You got a guy who can run the ball. You got a jack of all trades. That's why I take him. And then with the Cardinals, they're kind of in an interesting situation because they were the team I was thinking of. After this year, Barkley's off. Yo Gabba Gabba's off. Drew Stanton's off. The only quarterback they have on the roster right now that's going to be into next year is Carson Palmer. And I look at that and I go, you know what? This is what I do. I draft Josh Allen to at least sit 1 year, and I bring in a veteran, whether I re-sign a Blaine Gabbert, re-sign a Sparkles Barkles, to be the backup in case Carson Palmer goes down again. But then I have my answer for the future in Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the Cardinals are another one of those teams where I could see that being a destination for, let's say, a Case Keenum. A guy who you don't sign to a huge deal.
A journeyman quarterback?
Yeah, a journeyman who just had some success and can come in and hopefully continue that on a team that should hopefully be pretty decent.
I mean, let's be completely honest. Case Keenum, before Bradford went down, he was a backup this year.
Yeah.
He'd signed a backup contract, was expected to be the backup, and is only playing because Sam Bradford is injured.
And now he's about to go get paid.
Yeah.
So, I think that the Cardinals can get away with doing something like that. For them, I go just for, once again, it's they need help at the line. They need help on the offensive line to keep their quarterbacks healthy, especially when you got an old quarterback like Carson Palmer, or if you get that young quarterback, you want to keep him healthy, you want to get time. The best friend for a young quarterback is time in the pocket.
You know what's another interesting one?
What's that?
And this is another need for the Cardinals, and where both of us have him going next. Do you think there could be an option where the Cardinals go, yeah, you know what? We need a quarterback, but I'm not sold on Allen or Lamar Jackson is still out there, or Mason Rudolph is still available at that point. And yeah, we can go offensive tackle, but do I want to use a pick on one this early? Is there a scenario where they go, hey, you know what? We need to add something at cornerback. Let's get a Denzel Ward.
Well, sure, they could, for sure. I think, for me, what stands out to me is this Arizona team has had a lot of really good pieces on defense. And I can certainly see them going and trying to upgrade, going and trying to bolster that and just kind of get some depth as well. But it's not what I would consider one of the top pressing needs. I mean, for me, I really see this offensive line as being an issue, and I see that as being, if you don't fix this team is not getting better. Or at least you can get around a defensive back.
One prospect I wanted to ask you about, and this is the only time, one of the only times where, because like when we started recording this podcast, I made, like I said to you, hey, you know what? We're really not going to focus in on the exact players. We're going to look at more fits, because obviously the players will be Brandon and I on the Primetime podcast. However, the one guy I have to ask about, because on mine he's taken 17th by the Lions. I want to say on yours he's still available. I don't know where he's going, but I think he's still available, and that's Arden Key. Do you think this is a guy where right now we have him 17th and below because of everything that went on this season? I mean, the shoulder injury that he's going through, I believe he had a second injury later in the season, and everything that went on where he came back to the team in the spring, and everyone thought, we included, because I did a segment on it, where, okay, he's going to be one of the top pass rushers in this draft.
Yeah. I mean, injuries are always going to be an issue, but at the same time, it's kind of up in the air of how much you weigh an injury. Because, I mean, you look at me, I have Connor Williams going number 3 overall. This is mock draft number 1. Things are going to change. A lot of things end up coming later on for these injured guys, where at the beginning you don't necessarily know how much to weigh that in. For a guy like Key, I think it weighed in a little bit more in my decision when I'm comparing him to, like a Harold Landry, a Mo Hurst, friend of the show, a Bradley Chubb, who obviously is going to be miles ahead in the draft. Those are the kind of things where it allowed me to push him back a little bit. But really, I think for a lot of these teams towards the back is when you get these teams that are desperate for pass rushing help or who really need to, get some of those linebackers, some of those hybrid type of guys. I think you'd run into a little bit more of that towards the back half.
And the thing that bringing Connor Williams back into it, because of the injury thing, the thing that, like, the whole reason why I wasn't a person that would jump all over you for having him so high at 3 is because, he injured his knee, but he came back at the end of the season and played well.
Which that's a big part of it.
If he never came back, then it's like, okay, what do we see? But the thing with Arden Key, and I did look it up, was he came back and everyone's like, okay, he's going to be a dominant pass rusher. Has surgery on his shoulder, misses 8 games to start the season, then comes back, but then misses the final 2 because of a knee injury. So it's like, okay, now I don't need to. The combine's going to be huge for him.
For sure. For any guy who has an injury, it's big.
But like looking at a team like you said, where it's like teams are going to get desperate, I think the Lions, they need a pass rusher. They need one. That's why I had them going Arden Key. You obviously had them going Harold Landry. But one of the most confusing picks in this range for me were the Packers. Because what do? Do you give Aaron Rodgers a weapon? Because the whole, I believe it's a contract with Devontae Adams, they're going to have to figure out what to do or find a replacement. Or do you say, hey, you know what? Our secondary has been Swiss cheese forever. We got to get a guy. We got a Demarius Randall either, I want to say, 2 years ago, but let's go back to the well and get another defensive back so that we can shore up that secondary for our offense.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a clear, easy way to go on the defensive side of the ball. But I think a couple things are gonna weigh onto this. Obviously, with that contract is a big one. The other side of it, and what people are very curious about, is when you're looking at this team and which one of these good players might not still be around. You know, you got to look at a Cobb to say, will this be a cap casualty? You know, is this somebody who we can get rid of, not because we want to, but because we feel like we have to? And Christian Kirk is a perfect guy to play in a slot position, a guy who can be quick, a guy who can, you know, honestly, you could probably line him up in the backfield or, you know, as a running back and play around with that, because you know that the Green Bay Packers love doing that. I think he is a creative pick. He's going to allow the play calling to get interesting. Is it the greatest pick in the world? I don't know. There's other things that they certainly could do. Is there the potential that he could not even, and I do think that Christian Kirk is one of these guys that he might not be in the first round. And if it's not the Packers taking him, I don't really know who else will. But I think that he fits this team well, and I think that he would be such a valuable weapon for Aaron Rodgers that when I think about the Packers, I can't pass this one up. It feels too good to me.
Yeah, and I'm on, obviously, like, there were part of me that the Cortland Sutton that I had going to the Ravens, and you did too, I sat there long and hard and was like, Sutton's a deep threat. Let's give Aaron Rodgers a deep threat. Let's give him a guy that, and more so like Devonta Adams, and that's if they're going to move away from him after that contract, but I couldn't. I had to sit there and go, we need to shore up this defense, because if you look at what has happened, let's take two sides of the coin. Either one, look at what's happened in Minnesota. Mike Zimmer's come in, built a defense. We are talking Vikings in a Super Bowl contention. Or you look at it and say, hey, you know what? Matthew Stafford's on one of the teams we see twice a year. The Vikings, Case Keenum's good, but he's not one of the...
You're hoping for Teddy Bridgewater to come back.
Teddy Bridgewater, but we don't know what we're going to get when he comes back. And then you look at the Bears, they have one of the new hot shots. Do we really want to keep this defense and just, like that car that needs a repair, like, I can make it a couple more miles before I do this, and then eventually the car just kaputs on you.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's not really... It's never the thing that you know the Packers for. For the Packers, you know this high-powered offense.
Yeah.
But they've had good defense. When they won a Super Bowl, they had a good defense in a run game.
Yep.
And that's something that they've ignored since.
One team I want to ask you about, and this will probably wrap up this section of it, is the Dolphins. Because, like I said originally, before they beat the Patriots... They were at 12, and I had them pegged for Josh Allen. Thing I want to ask you, because this both happened in our scenario. Josh Allen's off the board, fourth quarterback. Do the Dolphins, you had him go Saquon Barkley, obviously to replace the Jay Ajayi that they traded this offseason. I had them go linebacker just only because I don't know if they do this reach. Do you see the Dolphins? Because I think the Dolphins are another team like the Cardinals, where the only guy they got coming back is their guy in Ryan Tannehill. Plus, there's a potential out for Tannehill's contract at the end of end of next year. Do they draft a quarterback this high, depending on what they want to do with Tannehill? Because Tannehill would be coming back off of a season-ending injury he had in the offseason.
No, I can't imagine that they would draft a quarterback in the first round. There's no reason for them to. I think this year essentially was a wash. This is a mulligan year for Gase, for Tannehill, for everybody.
I mean, Jay Cutler's not coming back. He was a one-year rental.
They dragged him out of retirement, and he was like, fine.
For $10,000? Whatever.
Yeah, right.
You're telling me I get $10,000 and I get to beat Tom Brady in Miami? Deal.
Yeah, Jay Cutler's good for one of those big surprise games. That was it.
I'll throw 2 picks at least next week.
Right. I mean, my favorite Jay Cutler moment will always be beating Green Bay in Lambeau Thanksgiving, because he's good for one of those games every year, especially when he comes off an injury.
And then you just get the Jay Cutler supporters like cockroaches coming out of the woodworks.
Like I told you, he was good. Still, Bears' best quarterback in history. But you know what? They got the GOAT now. So anyways.
That's gonna change real quick.
Well, I mean, it's the GOAT. So for me, it's just very simple. I mean, when they made this trade to get rid of this hot running back, even the coach was saying, I don't really get why we did this.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's a clear cut. We're going to address this in the offseason. We're going to go and get a running back, especially because it's not performance that they didn't really like out of him. It was more of locker room issues and things like that. So, you know, go get a guy like Barkley, a guy who is not going to give you those issues. He's going to come back and he's going to help out with Tannehill coming back and hopefully being healthy enough to play. They've got the good wide receivers already. They'll be good to go.
Landry balled out yesterday.
Yeah.
Completely balled out against the Patriots.
They'll be good to go.
Any final things, any teams you think we didn't hit in this 11 through 21 range that you quickly say, we got it. I want to hit this team real quick?
No, just, well, really quickly, I'll say for the Seahawks with my Josh Jackson pick.
Is that a Richard Sherman pick?
It's essentially a replacing Richard Sherman pick.
Okay.
We'll see what happens, but, you know, we talk about it all the time about Richard Sherman possibly being gone, and we'll see. We'll see.
I thought about it, but to me, the next best quarterback I had was Isaiah Oliver. I couldn't have him go as high as 20. That's the only reason why I had them go Connor Williams to basically protect Russell
Which
Wilson.
They desperately need that too. But you know what? He can just run in the backfield. It's okay.
Well, and this is where, if you're on YouTube, let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What do you think about the picks here from 11 to 21? Also, if your favorite team is in this range, what do you want to see them do? What do you think your team has to do in this first round of the NFL draft? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.